Okay, we are live. Hi, hi. Wow, here, Pam. Hello, Pam. Can you hear me? Would you like to make the invitation, please, so I can accept you? We are here with Pamela BURCSAK today at live on Instagram. Here we go. Okay, we are waiting for Pamela BURCSAK from USA. Wow.
There we are.
Here we
Hello.
go. How are you?
I'm fine, love. I'm fine.
Super fine.
Fine.
So, super fine. Not today, not cooking, you know.
No, we're not cooking today. We have a lot of fun cooking.
But
a lot of fun cooking.
Yes.
You cook
Today,
more.
we are. I don't know what we are talking about.
No, you don't.
We don't know.
I want to. I want to tell a story.
Yeah.
And are we waiting for people to come on, or are we starting, or whatever? You'll have to tell me that.
No. We go. So we have half an 1 hour, not more than 1 hour. So and this is just also I would like to recording and download it and go also.
Okay, then we'll begin.
So anyway, let's see how many people, but doesn't matter. So
they'll come in. It doesn't matter. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story.
Yeah.
And this is a story that goes back to the beginning. Rebounding's been around for many years. I found it interesting to find out where people came into this industry. How did they find out about it? And I thought, well, we don't ask enough of those questions. Like, who told you about this? And so I want to tell you about how I found it, or it found me years ago, before I met you. And I was lucky enough to be told about it by my friend, my mentor, my colleague. His name is Wayne Hall, and his nickname is Bear. So if I say Bear, you'll know who we're talking about. And he had been a lymphologist, from that terminology, from Dr. C. Samuel West, when Dr. C. Samuel West was alive.
Wow.
It's like, hooray. And this history is so rich. And those of us that know about it, it's great. But there's a lot of people that don't know about this. And they find it in the middle. So I'm going back. And again, I was lucky enough to have been told about this amazing education by my friend Bear, who took his studies while Dr. West was alive. And that's awesome. And I learned to appreciate that later on. His work is still around. It's still there. But in the beginning of, in this story that I'm going to tell you, Dr. West was a medical man. And we didn't have the internet then. And his interest was to take it to the university, was to take it to the medical industry. That was his drive and his mission. And he, with this work that he had, was about lymphology. And lymphology is a missing segment in the medical industry. But it was his mission to share that knowledge. So when he would go to the university, he would bring what was called then a mini trampoline. It wasn't called a rebounder as it is today. It's a mini trampoline.
He called lymphosizer,
Lymphosizer, yes. It was lymphosizer, yes. And it wasn't meant for a toy. It wasn't meant for entertainment. Wasn't meant for aerobics, antics and all that we see today, the extreme. but it was meant to simulate the function of the pump of the lymphatic system. And the zero gravity environment that initiates the valve action with the release of the toxins in the lymphatic system, and the oxygen being able to reach the cell when the lymphatic system becomes fit. There's all this information, but that's what he chose to use as a tool to simulate that pump. Well, one day a man came along who was a medical journalist, and his name is Al Carter. He was an athlete, and a very active athlete. He did a lot of stunts. There was an aerobic atmosphere in his vitality, and he came to one of Dr. West's seminars. Back in the day, they didn't have the internet. They would have seminars, they would have workshops, and that kind of thing. They had tape. I think you could buy tapes and that kind of thing. But the internet wasn't there yet.
Because
So,
both of them, came from Utah, probably.
Yes, they were. Yes, they're Utah. It's in that environment. They and that's how they met. So now, Al Carter. Every time somebody learns something, they take something with them from the experience. It's an improvement, it's this, it's that, it's their perspective. So Al Carter's perspective, because he just thought it was fantastic and it fit right in with his athletics and his stunts and his whatever, to market this little tool. And that's what he did. And he brought the, education with it too. But now, today, Al Carter, if it wasn't for Al Carter, it wouldn't be a household word. We wouldn't know the rebounder, the mini trampoline, the We wouldn't know it as a household word. Everybody knows what that is, even if they don't have one. And that is something that is a contribution from Al Carter. Now, the one thing that when I came into it, and I heard this story, my friend Bear, now this is his take from his experience.
That probably is with us. Strong Beer one is.
I hope he is. I told him about it. That's good. Oh, he knows. He knows. So he'll be there if he is.
Nice to meet you virtually.
Yes. Oh, you will. Oh, yeah. You'll love it.
Probably
so anyway,
probably one day we'll meet each other.
Oh, and should have by now anyway. So anyway, he tells me about rebounding. Now, I am a life coach. I'm a life EFT energy psychology coach. Been that for, neon to 40 years in one way or another, learning and becoming and all of that. I didn't know anything about rebounding. Not one thing when I met Bear. And one day he says, you need to get a mini trampoline. And I went, why? He said, because something like I said, okay, so I got one. Now, Bear's take from his experience with Dr. West, thinking there's going to be some improvement, he's going to do this. Dr. West would talk about start slowly, whatever. Bear did a program with, it's a 30-day program, 1 minute a day, and then it would be blah, blah, blah. And so he said, you do this program. There's our Dr. West, yes. And you do the 30-day program. So I did it. And he told me at the time, I didn't even know I had a lymphatic system at the time. And so I did it. I did what he told me to do. And I was tired when I first got on it. I was like, sea legs, and then, this was happening, that was happening. And then, my center core, I felt stable. I felt this, I felt that. 3 weeks, I was in breath. I wasn't out of breath. I was in breath. I didn't know this terminology. And I went, by the end of 30 days, I was a different person. And I went, oh my gosh. So now I want to go to school. I want to learn about this. So I went to, the academy that Dr. West, had set up. And I went through it and I graduated. But the one thing about the academy is it's left from the work that Dr. West had left before he left the earth, before he died. And it was very medical. He wasn't thinking about what was going to happen with all this stuff. It was medical. I was okay with that. I have a forensic mind. I got it. But then after I graduated, I went, there needs to be something a little more simple, because I'm going to put it now on the internet, because we have the internet now. The family couldn't imagine his work on the internet at the time. And so I spent 6 months, Chris, writing Endless Breath, Boundless Energy. And I sent it to the family. And I said, I'm asking for your blessing. This is my experience with going through your father's work. I would like to put it mainstream, but I think it needs to be in a manner that's a little more simple for everybody to understand. And actually a first grader can understand it. And it's my pride and joy. And it will be there timeless even after I'm gone. Bear says, you need to write a second manual. No, I don't. Endless Breath, Boundless Energy is fine where it's at. It'll be fine, because there's so many people that don't know about this yet, that's there for them. That's their basic introduction to health rebounding. And that's what it's for. And so I wrote it, they approved it, and off it went. And I started a website and I put it on there. And then Bear says, you better get on Facebook. Okay, I got on Facebook. So then you better start a group. Okay, I started a group. Bear, So I did. And now my network is Rebounding for Life, and it's been there for a very long time. And that's a portal of which I share and teach. And I became an educator because I'm an educator by nature. So then I hadn't met you yet. And I thought, well, gee, I need to go out to fitness centers. I need to get this out there. Everybody needs to know this. So I go, and in my area, and I'm in the US now, remember that. And I go to fitness area, centers around me. They don't know a daggone thing about this. They know nothing about it. It's not in their curriculum. I'm not a personal trainer, nor do I want to be. So we're like, how are we going to get together? And you go into the fitness center, and there's nothing but fitness equipment. There's not one rebounder in there. So I had to bring my own. And I said, if would you be interested in hearing about something that would be a wonderful asset, to your center? Well, they get that, but they're already programmed for, aerobics and equipment and, all of this stuff. And I went, oh no. So what I quickly realized is I'm going to have to rehabilitate these people. I am going to have to tell them to forget everything they know.
Reset, as you say.
Reset, realize, reset, realize, release, reset, restore, And I was traveling through the mountains of Kentucky when I came up with that one. And I'm writing. But anyway, and they just didn't get it. And I thought, this is too much work. I'm not doing this. This is too much work. So, anyway, then I met you. Okay, in that interim, yes, then I met you, and we're always thinking, we're always talking, and you're always reinventing, and you're coming up with what we should do, and we talk about it. And when I met you, I was like, then there's YouTube, and I'm seeing all these things on YouTube. And when I saw you on there, I don't know if you contacted me or I contacted you first. I can't remember. I don't know. But anyway, I went, oh my gosh, look at this person. It was divinely driven anyway. So, I just thought you were amazing. And then you saw my work, and there I saw your work. And then now I'm seeing what it's like in Europe. I'm already confounded in the US. How do I get this going? What do I do with this? There's virtual, there's in person, and where's this going to go? But anyway, you and I have talked for years. We've been friends for years, and we've been very honest with each other. And what I came to realize, what I was up against, and I wasn't going to impose that on anybody else, was that the aerobic atmosphere was my nemesis. You know, it was my issue, because no matter where I went with it, I had to get that out of the way so that I could, you know, take the person I was dealing with back to the womb and then connect them with the knowledge and then bring them back out. Because in endless breath, boundless energy, which has gone around 5 continents, as far as Antarctica, okay, in that simplicity, I take everybody back to the womb, because you can't fix something in the middle. And there's so much information out there. I'm not going to go out there and swim through all that. So in my world, I take all of my people back to the womb. That's where they were in a perfect environment for 9 months. They had everything that they needed. They didn't have a language yet, but there was the body language. They knew, you know, they knew what was going on. They get born. They in mama's arms. They cry. Mama rocks the baby. That's the same motion. They're good. And then they get legs. And then they look for something to bounce on, because they're used to vertical movement. And they look for a couch, they look for a bed, they look for anything that they can, you know, because that's what they know. Before they have a language, that's what they know. So what I try to do is to return everybody back to who they naturally are, instead of who they've been influenced to be. That's natural for that to happen. Who they truly are, that is who they truly are. They're in touch with their body function. They're in touch with their instincts. They know, you know, even if they can't speak it, they know it. They know how to ask for it, cry, whatever. So, you know, with that story, I had to create a lymphatic story that was simple to understand. I did that. I put that in the manual. And then I say, forget everything you know. Because you can't think about 2 things at the same time. So forget everything you know. And then we're going to go back, and then I'm going to bring you forward. And what happens with the knowledge that people have forgotten but remember, so that's about remembering. I don't know where they're going to remember, what point they're going to remember at, but there's that connection. Now, this is what happens. That's a very serious problem in our industry. There's a disconnect at some point where the baby gets legs, jumps on the sofa, has all this energy, is lymphatically fit, and the parents notice they have more energy than they do. How many times have you heard parents say, where do they get all that energy? You know, now it's going to annoy them. It's going to annoy them because they've got more energy than they do. The children have more energy than the parents do. And then they start to say, stop it. Stop it. Stop doing that. Or go outside and play. That's what happens. It does here in the United States. And that's what they do. Now, you keep telling that to them, and they will stop. They will quit. They'll pick up the cell phones. They'll lazy on the couch. They'll do the video games, and they listened. Because the parents have become seduced by all of the industries. Food, manufacturing, advertisement. What's this? What's that? Medical, farmer, farm, all of it. And they have been disconnected by their, from their parents. And then it's just generation after generation after generation. This is what we have to deal with. I mean, I'm sure it's probably the same all over the world in one way or another. But this is the way it is in the United States. So what I try to do is to, reconnect that instinctual, that's natural, that's there, that instinctual nature. And then we bring in the program. We bring in the 30-day program. Now, this is the tool that we use. Dr. West used it. We're going to use it again. And now you and I have talked, because in the beginning, I would put a new client on the mat. I would, the mat, they'd have to read the manual. So they would mount the mat. And what I found is they would forget to breathe. Even though I told them about the breath, even though I told them about the rhythm, da 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 da, they would stop breathing. And I'd let them go for about a minute before they passed out. And I'd say, do you realize you're not breathing? You got to start breathing. Now, so there's that synchronicity, that synergy. You know, now I've had to make them aware of it. Something that is, you know, drop dead natural. They should already know, but they have to be reminded. So again, it's about remembering. I'm having to teach them to remember these things because they don't know what life is on a matte surface, on a soft matte surface. They've not trained on a soft matte surface. They have the security of a hard surface, whether it's bodybuilding, jogging, cycling, it doesn't matter. This information and this education comes first. This comes before cycling, skydiving, mountain climbing. I don't care what you do. Now, we go with what we know. This is the language, and we're trying to work with that, you know, down the road with the language. But like I say, no matter what your game is, this should be first. But this is cellular fitness, because I had to come up with these terms because they weren't there. Cellular fitness before physical fitness. This is maximum cellular potential. These are power words. Maximum cellular potential. Because now you're going to start thinking on a cellular level, not a one-dimensional physical level. And in breath, you didn't know you were out of breath. You just didn't know. Now you do. So these are very powerful terms, you know, that I began to formulate for description. Because, you know, people have about 7 seconds before they get bored with what you're talking to them. So they had to be dynamic words. And I found them. So now humanity's not used to looking at their bodies on a cellular level or a lymphatic level. But this is the beginning of that simple story. And then this is the tool that will enable them to initiate that vertical movement in balance with the breath. And it's in sync and it's in synergy. Doesn't have to be acrobatics. It's not aerobic. Has nothing to do with that. But in this country, that's a hard nut to crack. Because they want to do that. That's what they've been programmed to do. Humans are perceptual creatures. I mean, they see something and that's their perception. So now you have to undo all of that. Okay, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So in that time frame, we're talking about 12, 15 years here. I came up with, well, I'm getting tired of beating the pavement with these physical fitness centers. They're getting on my nerves.
I just told you, I just told you about what's happening now in the fitness industry, or better to say, the wellness economy and industry. Because
well, okay, but what is that hiding? What is that hiding, Chris? You know, I mean, I'm calling, you know, a horse here. Okay, we can go on and elevate something, improve something, and whatever, but they cannot be together. They're two separate creatures. Because there's too much memory in that industry. Now, God bless you if you can elevate it from that perspective. But, you know, we're saying this is a different industry here. All that wellness is inclusive. It's all those good things are in there. But we're not starting from an aerobic point of view. We're not having to
just to say that's what's happening. It's a good point to start, because I think it's the time, because they erase the terms fitness into the wellness economy.
Yes, they could.
Yes,
they would do
it. Physical activity.
They would do it. They would do it because they would take what they know. And you can't, what did I say? You can't think about two things at the same time. Can't do it.
That's what's happened today. Yeah, in the Global
Yeah.
Wellness Institute, that is the one that's really good in statistics and whatever. Global Wellness Institute, American Institute of Wellness Economy. They cancel and erase fitness and body, mind, all these terms, and simply
Heard those.
physical activity.
They've already heard it. They're already used to those words. They already know wellness. They already know physical. They already know, you know, they know that. They've heard it to death. And it doesn't matter if you start a new organization.
Yeah, understand what
It doesn't matter.
It's not about
that's all well and good. But their brains, and keep in mind, I've dealt with human behavior for 40 years. I know what they're going to do. Their brains are only going to process what they know. And even if they hear something new, they're not going to forget what they, it's still going to be there, and they're going to merge the two together. That's why I say break it. That's that. This is this. That's that. This is this. That's that. You keep that over there.
I remember about your point of view.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. I mean, and this is an experiment. We don't know. This is kind of a new thing. But I think I don't know if it was before I met you or after I met you, but I thought because of this is the breaking away in my brain. I'm not going to mess with these fitness centers anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm going to start a whole new concept. And the concept in my mind and my imagination and my desire as a dreamer would be to have a virtual studio, rebounding studio, a mat studio, and it's called Vertical Moves. And they say, well, what is that? Well, there's no treadmills in there. There's no da-da-da-da in there. There's none of that. There's none of that. No, 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 no. When you come in, all you see are mats, rebounders. And in my world, every person who wants to come in to that, that environment has to go through the program. Because I'm going to teach them there about the lymphatic system. I'm going to teach them there about the function of the lymphatic system that's runs parallel to the cardiovascular system, but doesn't have a pump of its own. And that's why we need this little guy right here. We need this little, we need this mat. We need this rebounder, because this is going to be our pump. And you're going to start with day 1, and then you're going to leave. And they're going to go, what? No. See you tomorrow. And you're going to come back and do day 2.
Yeah, we already
see you tomorrow. And then 30 days, then they will have graduated from that program. And then then they know they're lymphatically fit. They know they are cellularly fit. They know that comes before physical fitness. They're going to be more aware of their cells than they are their muscles by that time, because the education is going to be in that environment, and they'll learn something new every day. They'll learn that history. They'll learn that core root knowledge that is not imitating anybody. And by the end of 30 days, that will be with them for the rest of their lives. It will never leave them. It's not a trend. It's not a new thing. It's a part of who they are, because I will have returned them to who they truly are, not who they've been influenced to be. That's the job that we have as educators. If we truly believe in that, in that knowledge, we're not imitating anybody. We're not even imitating, Dr. West. We're carrying on. There's enhancement in there. There's development in there. There's elevation in there. There's application in there. On a corporate level, I came up with the same concept on a corporate level. And if I said to a CEO, if I knew something that you didn't, would that be valuable to you? Of course it would be. If I had something that would help alleviate your insurance cost, your medical health cost, would that be important to you? Of course it would be. So this is the concept because they would put fitness centers in these businesses 10, 12 years ago and thinking they were doing the wellness thing. That's cool. That's all we got to do is put a fitness center in our business and we're being wellness. And what did that do? That didn't do anything. Didn't do a daggone thing. But they thought they were doing something good. I get all of that. Now, if I owned a business, and I don't care if it's 5, 10, 500, 1,000, 5,000, doesn't matter. If I owned a business, there would be a mat by my desk. There would be a mat by all of my secretaries' desks. Everybody would anybody who became my employee would, just like Vertical Moves, go through the program. All of my employees would have to go through this program. Now, at the end of 30 days, my employees are going to be, they're going to be lymphatically fit. They're going to be cellularly fit. Now, stress, fear, stress. How many times have you heard somebody say, I can't wait till I get off work. I can't wait till I can get to the club. I can't wait until the weekend comes. I can't wait till I go on vacation or holiday. By that time, dear ones, the deed is done. The damage is already done. You know, the stress has already had its way. Do I want that for my employees? No, I don't. My employees would have access to rebounders with the education anytime they wanted to during the day. There would be in the break room. There would be, you know, a virtual studio. A vertical mat studio in the business. They could go there anytime they wanted to and do workouts and do whatever. But that would be there. That's a new concept. That's not normal here. It's just not normal. It's not even thought of. So that is, you know, where are we going with this new health rebounding industry? Now, we didn't expect this pandemic to hit us. We didn't know it was coming. But as a life coach, you know, I've been used to virtual coaching for years. That's no problem. If I had opened up 50 vertical moves around the country or the world and this hit, I would be crying, you know, because nobody could come out. But since I didn't, I can do it virtually. And there's app development. There could be the 30-day program in there and the progress and the virtual connection with the coach. You know, there can be all different aspects in that app that someone would find in a studio if they came to it. And you're further along than we are in the US because you already have that studio concept, you know, in Europe. And it's fantastic. We love it. We love it. But now they're home. They're not there. So what can we do with the app, which is the one thing that's going to connect you with the people? And then we're going to go back to that 80 percentile of humanity that has not yet experienced this because it was aerobically designed. And all of the manufacturers around the world, no matter who they are following that aerobic path. And they're not thinking about the 80 percentile that they haven't connected with. That concerns me. That bothers me. Might not bother a lot of rebounding coaches, but it does me. Because I'm not about, you know, I said to you, remember I said to you, I was thinking, you know, I talked to, you know, the Carter family and I was going to be given all of Ohio as a distributorship. And I thought, is this what I have to do? And you said to me, you don't worry about selling rebounders. You teach people how to use them. And I went, you are right, Chris. That is who I am. And then I went back about my business. I'm not going to worry about that market. I'm not going to worry about selling them. No, that's your business. That's your market. And I'm okay with that. Now, you know, essentially I'm retired. You know, I'm retired. But You know, the teacher never stops, you know, the teacher never stops. But, you know, in a consultative fashion, in a consultative manner, I'm fine. I can go forever. You know, I can do that at any time. And I enjoy these conversations. We always have wonderful conversations. I will never stop teaching. I may not go out and try to change the world. I'm not going to get in a plane. No, nobody's getting in a plane and flying anywhere. I've done everything around the world that has anything to do with who I am or what I'm about from my home, aside from going out to those fitness centers that annoyed me after a while. But I've done it from here. I'm already, this is a perfect setup to do either cooking. We can cook. Now look what we can do. We can cook. We could teach. You know, there could be a virtual studio. You could have 50 people, you know, in a class virtually from 50 different places in the world, just like we're doing here.
Yeah.
And teaching. You know, we're going to teach you how to do it. We're going to take you through the program. We're going to be day 1 today. We'll see you tomorrow. And there'll be a little snippet of education every day. You don't put it to them all at one time. Not like that. But they would have access to, you know, and this is my world. They would have access to my my manual, because they have to read the manual.
Let's say about your page on Facebook and group. Is a group or page? No, probably
It's a group.
A group. Rebounding for life.
Rebounding for life.
It's a group.
And because I don't think of money first, you know, to my members, they get to read the manual. Of course they do. When they come into my atmosphere, you know, I don't care about making money. I don't need the money. You know, it's nice to make money. Sure it is. But I mean, that's not my first, that's not my first step.
No.
But the universe has always taken care of me well. So, but yes. You know, endless breath, boundless energy is the goal. That's the experience. They don't know what that means yet. Some do, some don't. But even if I have a new client, you know, they say, oh, I've been doing it for 20 years. Okay, that's good. But twice a year, we go through the 30-day program. So after the holidays, you've eaten all this, that, and the other. And, you know, every 6 months, you go through a form of it, 15 to 30 days. And reset. It's about resetting and restoring and releasing what you don't want to be there. Because sometimes people don't, after they get introduced to it, they don't do it every day like they should do it. None of us do. Okay, it's like we do it every and then it's always around, but we don't do that everyday structured program like we did when we were doing the program. But yes, there's a lot that can be done. And that, that program, courtesy of Bear, Wayne, he already had it together, and he's let me, he's allowed me to have it and to do with it. He trusts I will always treat it well, and I always have. And that's the foundation, in the manual. Not the book, it's the manual that is ageless, timeless, because no matter who you are, you have to start from day 1. Doesn't mean, maybe you are aerobically fit. There's a certain percentage of humanity that is aerobically fit. They don't even know they're lymphatically fit because they call it aerobically fit, because they actually went through the paces and didn't get dizzy or nauseous and throw up, They did it. They got through it. But this is a way to, walk through that experience and know at the end what you did, why you did it. You are being thoroughly, in an introductory way, you are made knowledgeable of on purpose why you did this, and this. And once that happens, then you understand why I take you back to the womb and I bring you forward. And then I meet that person with this person. And, now they're back where they should be. That's an internal process. It's an internal process. And it happens as a result. It's one of the marvelous benefits of rebounding that occurs naturally. It's natural. Um, Again, we're not imitating anybody. I'm not. I don't have to. There's not anything I have to do. I'm not in competition with anybody. I'm not imitating anybody. I believe that Dr. West, if he were here today, I always thought, when I was writing, I thought, I wonder if he'd be pleased. I wonder if he would be pleased with what I've done with this. And I think he would be. I had the opportunity to speak with Al Carter, and it was great to, speak with him. And we were in conversation with him. And I saw it as an opportunity to mention this to him about, the direction that his mission went into. And I said to him, I said, Al, but, there's like 80% of humanity that's not going to get this. And I'm not sure if his brain got it at the time. But I was able to speak those words to him, that all the wonderful things that, you did to make the rebounder a household word. And there are, there's Amazon manufacturing, there's people, making rebounders all over the place. But that education, is not going to reach a certain percentile of people because that industry has made it exclusive and sometimes terrifying to people who haven't gotten there yet, who haven't, they don't have the confidence to be there. And so they don't go. And that's a huge amount of humanity. And again, I'm not sure if he got all of that, but at least I got it off my chest and I was able to say it to it. I would have never thought that would ever happen. And I wasn't being, mean or insultive or that kind of thing. It was an awareness statement. Like, did you ever think about this? But, you can be like safe with the aerobic thing. You can like, that's my industry. We're aerobic. We do, this is what we do, and then, but that's a hard nut to crack when there's something else that is going in another direction, that's coming from another direction. So that core root knowledge got kicked to the curb because of aerobics. To be honest, it did. Because it's like, oh, we don't have time for that. We just bang, 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 and, do this and sell rebounders and videos and CDs and DVDs and, we're good. And that's the only place that's going because it's not hooked anything that is forever. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, know about your story. I know. I'm happy that you share this story so also with our followers here, and really appreciate that you.
Because I've never spoke this story live. I've talked about it before, but you have, now at this point, I don't really care. I don't really care if I offend somebody who's an aerobic or whatever. And that's not my intention to, offend someone, but, to have the conversation, with that content, is, you got to be able to have it. Because it is what it is. The aerobic industry is what it is. No more, no less. It is what it is. But it's not necessarily inclusive of this knowledge that is internal, is instinctual. I teach my people how to participate with their bodies responding. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's not a trick. It's not a trend. I eventually get them to a place where they realize they are participating with the confidence that they have of their body responding because of the breath and the movement and the release of the toxins, and their bodies are getting stronger. When one of our systems goes into failure, the other systems are burdened. There's that word. I used that word the other day, burdened. Now, all of the other systems, you may have cardiovascular, you may have, digestive, whatever system goes into failure. Now the other ones have to pick up the slack. Now, in the world of lymphology, we don't look at individual diseases. We look at strengthening the body as a whole. We look at giving the body everything that it needs in terms of nutrition. We're talking about vibrational food and cooking, and we're doing these things. Returning the body to the body what it needs, and the movement that it requires to function accordingly, and intake the breath, intake the breath that is required for it to sustain itself. And there's a healing that is going to go on there, because every cell has a generator, and if it hasn't been, turned on or fired up for a while, it's sitting there waiting and hoping that it will before it completely dies. Now, if its person doesn't ever get the grip or the information or the education, and it just runs it out into failure, that's what sickness and illness is. And it takes a long time. That's how phenomenal the human body is. It can take a long time. It gets a little bit here and there and a little bit there and there. But that's what this core education is about. It's about the knowledge, the very simple knowledge, and its application. And it's it's embraced by the person who is receiving it, and it never leaves them. It's always there. It's always there. And no matter what, that's the first solution. When something happens, when someone gets a little under the weather, or somebody this, and especially in this day and age, we have to, keep our lungs strong. I saw 2 nurses on TV the other day, and one was patting on the back, to expel, because this is an inflammatory response. It's a very serious inflammatory, overreactive inflammatory response with the lungs and the pneumonia. So they were patting the back and da-da-da-da-da. Now, not everybody's got someone there to pat the back. And I thought, how can I do that? Let me think here. So before my feet touch the ground, I don't have the rebounder in my bedroom. But before my feet touch the ground, I do exercises, breathing. And they're from my pelvic up, And I thought, you know what? I've got elbows. I've got elbows. I can smack those lungs, smack them like somebody's behind me. And so when I get up in the morning, there's certain moves I do, and and elevation, and I do my breathing before my feet hit the ground. But now I've got magic elbows. I can smack. I get that going, and you get that lung to come up, and you straighten your spine and smack that lung. That's you force yourself to wake it up, and you used your elbows. You didn't have to have somebody beat on your back. So it's self-initiation. I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Because you have to think. You have to think. You don't, you don't, it's self-sustaining. You don't think, oh my gosh, I've got to call somebody to fix me. I've got to call for an appointment. I got to go do this. I got to do that. I got to get this. This is going to make me happy. Blah, 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 blah. No. You got to bring it all back home. Bring it home. So, I've tossed around some history. I've tossed around some personal experience. I will forever be an educator. I will not, go anywhere. But I'm concerned about where the industry's going and how humanity will be able to get what it needs. Yes, I am. I'm very concerned about that. And I will do anything in a contributive manner, in a consultative manner to contribute to that. That will be my pleasure. And yes, I am interested in defining, the health rebounding industry away from the aerobic industry. You can't fix it in the middle. No, you got to have a clean break. You do.
You know what is my, you know what is my vision, Pam? You know, it's the time. It's the time we have to rewrite a new chapter of this story. Yes, that's what we call. We can say now. You know, the Q factor that we are really.
Yes.
Is the point. The same point of view, the same, you know, way of,
yes.
of the vision, same vision about that. So we really are ready for
We're already there.
this story, and
we've
totally
talked about this a long time.
New terminology, of course. Probably we have to really forget about aerobics, rebounding, all these such terms and terminology, and probably have new terminology about you know, this concept.
Yes.
We can start from the Q factor to say this is the point zero, you know, to start the new way. And new way, as you just told me, you know, it's not a new and son. There's nothing new, but of course, it is the next chapter. Is that go beyond? Is to go beyond, to elevate, etc.
Elevate, yes.
This kind of
expand, elevate, yes.
Expand, elevate. So it doesn't matter. We have to go beyond at this point, you know, without thinking about. Otherwise, we okay. It's nice to tell a story. Also, I have my story. I have a lot of stories on my network.
Yes, I love them.
But now is the time for, you know, writing the chapter. So from Q factor, that is the 0 point, we have to rewrite, you know, the not the new, but the next chapter of the story, because that's why I say always, this is just the beginning. This is the beginning. It's always, you know, accompany me when I, you know, also have successful things, and now I say, oh, and now what's happened? I don't know what's happened, but I always say this is just the beginning.
Adapt,
for sure.
Adapt. You know, a lot of things we're already doing. I said it's cool to be a homebounder. I mean, you know, I put on, you know, RFL. I said, well, it's all right to be a homebounder. There's nothing wrong with being a homebounder. It's cool. Yes. Well, and you know, applications and branding, and you know, we've talked about this. You know, smaller rebounders, you know, that are more, you know, more convenient for the home environment or apartment environment. It's all the future. It's the future. And this, again, the app is going to be the, you know, the app, the new building, you know, the new building. And it's a lot cheaper. You don't have all the overhead that you would in a building, you know. I mean, it's a lot cheaper. But you know, the whole app concept is fantastic. And you know, we did a great job.
I can say, really, I have to say thank you to all my network and people. Doesn't matter if they come from aerobics or if they come from rehabilitation, somebody from therapeutics. Most of them are,
and there are going to be people that are
homebounder. Most of them are
homebounder. You know, I don't essentially know if I'm, you know, and then you mentioned EFT. I mean, you know, we could bring an EFT in there too, that some of your people know about it, some of you do. And I've been an EFT practitioner for years, and I think it's a wonderful marriage. But I don't know if I'm talking to a trainer, to what you call a practitioner, you know, to a newbie, to someone who's been in it for 20 years, you know, who knows? And I certainly wouldn't want to offend anybody, but there's a time to understand what the difference is. And it's not meant to attack. It's not meant to offend. It's just, it's different. It's time to make, you know, to establish the difference and to go back to where it came from. And if they knew the story, they'd probably understand. You know, there is a story that goes with it from where it came from. It just got hidden, and it's time to bring it forward. And it got redirected, and it's time to bring that back. You know, that's all. It's all good. It's all good.
Not worry, everything will
no worry. No worry.
Will happen. Absolutely. We are a dreamer. So
we're good. Hey, that's what
it will happen. So we have 5 minutes, Pam, now. So let's see, really. We say a lot of things I'm listening to you, very careful about all your story. I know about that. I knew about that, but I really, I never, yes, I really love to listen to this kind of story. It doesn't matter. Also,
yeah.
fable,
I want to hear them.
like
Yes,
to.
I want to hear everybody's. You know, you brought things up today. I knew some of your story, but there's always some little hidden gem in there that it's like, oh, wow, wow. And everybody has one, you know. And in my emotional world, you know, my human behavior world, the one thing I try to do is help people find their story. You know, it's priceless to have your story, that you know your story. It's the same here.
That's a
Everybody has an experience.
it's a good way to start, but really always go beyond. Always
Yeah,
go
oh, yeah.
beyond is the absolutely our
That puts that at peace. That puts all of that
priority.
experience to peace, and then you can move on. You can do it. You can write more chapters. You can do what you want to do. It's fabulous.
Let's see. We say that it is vital. It is we call about priority. We mention about our new Q factor, that is the quality factor, especially regarding the education. That is the main topics into this we can call industry, and really we are ready. Our network are ready. We are here. I'm ready to. So you have to be with us, Pam.
Oh
Of
yeah,
course.
I'm not going anywhere. You know where to find me.
I know. You have
I'm
to
right
travel
here.
more. You have to travel more. Too much home.
That might take a while.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness,
that's the
I don't
problem.
know.
You have to come in Italy. You have to walk.
Oh, I told you I'd never leave. I probably would never leave, but it may be a while before I get on an airplane. I don't know. I'm not afraid to
I've
fly.
been in USA. I've been in USA. So I saw
Mhm.
there is nothing there about health rebounding. Of course, that's a problem. But
I
doesn't
told
matter.
you.
Really, I really say thank you also to the rebounder, to Alcarto
And
especially.
this is where it started. Think
And
about that. This is where it started. And you're further ahead in Europe than they are here. They went over, you know, they took
that's
a
right.
left turn at
Yes.
aerobic and then it just got stalled.
That's what's happened. This is the dream. This is the dream. We don't
Yes,
know
yes.
what kind of direction. Start from the point that's changed, go beyond, doesn't matter. So it's important that we are in and we are alive and absolutely
And
we
then
are
we're still here.
ready,
We're still
really ready,
bouncing.
ready for this new chapter. So I have to say thank you very much being here,
You're
Pam.
welcome. My pleasure.
Are so precious, and always, as always, your level, your way of communicate the things, and your passion is so really touch the heart. I'm sure. So really, thank you very much also for from home J4J network and all the original, we call the original the original from our hearts. So thank you very
Sure.
much, and you know, keep in touch as always, and I
Always.
say thank you to all the J4J network also in Italian. So grazie a tutti quelli che ci hanno ascoltato, era in inglese questa conversazione con Pam che è stata con noi, e io vi ringrazio e vi do appuntamento. Abbiamo una serie, we have a series of interviews now that follows in these days, so let's keep in touch with us, stay tuned, and thank you very much and have a great day, you know.
Ciao.
And ciao.
Bye bye.
Ciao Pam, thank you. Ciao.